Hey everybody, I am your host, Alad, reporting here in Washington, D.C., where behind me, Kamala Harris is giving one of her final speeches this election cycle at the Ellipse. This is the site where Donald Trump gave his speech ahead of January 6th. Also to the left of me are anti-Israel, anti-Kamala Harris protesters. Let's go talk to some folks, see what's going on. Awesome. So we're out here today in Washington, D.C. for one of Kamala Harris's last speeches this election cycle. Can you tell me why you decided to come out with one of her signs?
I'm 67 years old. It's my first political rally. Too much at stake. If Trump gets back in that White House right there, he'll never leave.
You said so much is at stake. Is that what at stake? You think Trump remaining in office?
He will never leave. Look what he did last time. He's two-term limitates the amendment to the Constitution to limit it to 2 terms. He'll ignore that. That's when they mean democracy is at stake. That's what it means. He won't leave. I wish the Democrats had just said he won't leave over and over again. When I tell Republicans, what makes you think that he's going to leave, they all look at me like, wow, I never really thought of that.
Well, he left last time. Do you have any hope that he'd,
Sorry, I cut you off. Your question?
No, I mean, he left last time when he lost, although he's denied the election results.
I live here. I'm a 4th generation Washingtonian. He did leave, but only kicking and screaming with a bunch of felonies and dead bodies behind him.
Absolutely. To follow up on that, not only Kamala Harris, but his former chief of staff, John Kelly, recently called him a fascist. Do you agree with that description, or do you think the rhetoric's too high?
I don't know, but you take in his words. His words are scary, and he won't leave. And he won't leave. That's why I'm out here.
Absolutely. Democrats are running Kamala Harris. What do you think about Kamala Harris?
She's great. I like her. I like her policies. I'm a Biden supporter. But really, for me, the one that's driving this one, as well as Kamala, I like her a lot. But he won't leave, and I don't want to see it again.
Sorry for cutting you off. It's more about you voting against Trump than for Kamala Harris. Then
it's both. Yeah.
It's interesting.
He lied. He also lied 30,000 times in office. So I don't want any more of that.
It's interesting because in the prior presidential election, Kamala Harris ran as a progressive. She ran on Medicare for all. She ran on mandatory gun buybacks. But she's flopped on all of these issues now. Are you concerned about that flopping?
I really don't have any comment on that.
Yeah. Are you concerned about what you could get with her given her flopping on these issues in the past?
I really don't know. I haven't given much thought to that.
Absolutely. One last thing. So many people in our country still do support Donald Trump. It's a really tight race. Why do you think Trump resonates with so many Americans?
I think it's the big lie. I think he's been repeated over and over again. If you lie often enough and loud enough, people start to believe it. Sadly, history is riddled with those kind of examples. Go back to Germany in the 30s. It really worked, with a new rate. There was a new medium, the radio, and a dynamic speaker who has a name I won't mention, and lied and lied over and over again. People started to believe it. That's what's happened here.
His core constituency is older white men. You're an older white man. What would be your message to other white men who support Trump?
He won't leave. If you want this to be your last election ever, vote for Trump.
We're out here today in Washington, D.C., where behind us Kamala Harris is giving one of her final election speeches at the Ellipse. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you decided to come out?
I decided to come out because, for one, Kamala, she's from where I'm from. I'm from Oakland, California, and she did a great job in Oakland. Also, I'm for reproductive rights, women's rights, so that's what drew me the most to vote for her, but also, simple fact, she's from where I'm from. So,
Absolutely. I wanted to ask, in her time in California, she has a long history of there as a prosecutor, and some of her supporters criticize her past as a prosecutor. Have you heard this stuff, and what do you make of that?
Yeah, so a lot of it is fake news. She actually put in place a system where prisoners, after they're in prison, they can go through a program called I forgot the name of it right now. I'm really nervous. The tensions are high. But it's for them to basically get their records, get it off their record, and then they can be able to get a job in affordable housing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Donald Trump has been vying hard for the black vote. He's been trying to do different He's been giving pardons to different rappers and whatnot. He gave the checks during the pandemic. What do you make of these efforts by Trump at Black Outreach?
Actually, he's been doing nothing but offending us, and his version of Black Outreach is actually about Black outrage. It's making us outraged by his outreach. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Obviously, many of the people in the media call him racist and a threat to democracy. What do you think about the rhetoric surrounding Trump?
I think that they're all true, and it was a testament of that last night at his rally, or 2 nights ago at his rally. So
You're talking about the Haitian comments by the comedian, or is there some particular you have in mind?
that and all the sexist comments, they were calling women bitches, and also, just racist comments. It's honestly disgusting about women.
Despite Trump's long history, this race is still extremely tight.
Yeah.
Why do you think Trump resonates with so many Americans?
A lot of Americans are racist, and they don't want to move forward. But it's time to move forward.
Given that, in that vein, do you believe Americans are ready for a black female president?
They need to be, because she's going to win.
One last topic I wanted to hit on. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't mention behind us are anti-Israel, anti-Kamala Harris protesters. What do you make of her pro-Israel stance?
So she's actually not pro-Israel. In her recent town hall, she made it very clear that she is neutral in it. And I think my theory about Kamala is when she gets in, she's going to do her best for a ceasefire, which is what she said. So I have faith in that. But I'm pro-Palestine as well, so I understand and I do empathize. I actually wrote a paper about it, so I'm very informed. That's why I'm not making a point to walk away. I'm kind of wanting to be a part of the protest, but also, watch.
Some of these protesters accuse her of being a war criminal. Do you agree with them on that?
No, I think that Kamala being a black woman, unfortunately, the standards for us are a bit different. She's not allowed to say what she needs to say. In order to make change, she has to play the game and go by what people are telling her to do, what's right. And then I think she's going to go ahead and do what's right.
Absolutely.
For everybody
One
else.
last thing. What would you say to a pro-Palestine protester who said, I can't vote for Kamala Harris because I think she's perpetuating genocide and is a war criminal?
I think that they're entitled to how they feel, and I'm not into changing minds. I want them to do their research, and we'll see. And I know that they need to see something happen in order to put their trust in her. So, I'm not against them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So we're out here today in Washington, D.C., outside of the Ellipse, where Kamala Harris is giving one of her last speeches of this election cycle. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you came out today?
I came out in support of Kamala. This is my line sister, but also, more importantly, my stepdad passed in July. He was Puerto Rican, and I'm very close to that. Not only am I a woman, I am also a childless cat lady, and I'm ready, I'm pumped up, I'm excited for change. We're not interested in going back. We're not in the 1970s. We don't want to have security at our polls. We want freedom for everyone, and that's essentially why I'm here.
You said you're looking for change. Do you believe Kamala Harris is the change candidate? In a recent View interview, she was asked if she'd do anything differently than Joe Biden, and she said she wouldn't.
Oh, I think I'm actually not. I'm not opposed to that. Like, honestly, I think the change is from what President Trump was doing, former President Trump, to what can be done going forward. It's not about her having her own administration, which she will, trust and believe she will. It's about moving forward from the racist rhetoric, the misogyny, and all the things that you are seeing online. Yeah.
Behind us are people upset
I won't comment on that. I'm not well versed enough to comment on that.
Are you worried that this could cost Kamala the election? This issue.
I honestly can't comment on it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Democrats are talking a lot about how Trump is a threat to democracy. Have you heard this stuff, and does it resonate with you as a voter?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you believe Trump is truly a threat to democracy? What do you fear in that?
I do. I mean, I think the fear is out there. It's on the news.
Absolutely.
It's a number of things. It's not one that I can pinpoint. It's all of it.
We're at the Ellipse. This is where Donald Trump gave a speech before January 6th ended up sparking off. What do you think about that? Her giving a speech here at the location where Donald Trump helped encourage January 6th.
I think it's a point to what can be done and the right way to do it. how we can be positive and move forward and not encourage people against democracy and against, peace for the whole country, essentially, yeah.
One last thing I wanted to hit on. This is still a very close election. Why do you think Donald Trump resonates with so many Americans?
Because America can be racist at times. Yeah.
In that vein, do you think they're ready for a black female president?
I think we are. Yeah. I think even if you don't know it, you will know it eventually. Come January, come next week actually. Oh my God, it's coming before we even know it. Yeah, you'll be ready for it.
We're out here today after Kamala Harris just finished giving one of her last speeches of this election cycle. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you decided to come out tonight?
I'm in support of everything she stands for. I think she's going to be a great leader for America.
Absolutely. Is there an issue in particular that she speaks to that really excites you as a voter?
It's not one particular issue. It's more the fact that she's a unifying force for the country. I think the Trump campaign is trying to divide our nation and tear people apart, and I think she's trying to bring people together.
Absolutely. Do you feel as though you're voting more against Donald Trump or for Kamala Harris in that sense?
I would say both, actually. I think she's fantastic. I think she's exactly what we need, and quite frankly, I can't stand another 4 years of Trump in office.
Absolutely. The last presidential election that she ran as much more of a progressive. She wanted Medicare for all, mandatory gun buybacks. She's flopped on a lot of these issues. How do you reconcile with that stuff?
You know, I think in order to win an election, there are some things that you make concessions on, and I think she's being very smart about what's really important to her and trying to find the middle ground for Americans.
Absolutely. Democrats and Kamala Harris specifically talk a lot about how much of a threat to democracy Donald Trump is. She recently called him a fascist. Does that resonate with you as a voter?
Absolutely. I think he's extremely dangerous for this country. Quite frankly, I voted for him in the first election.
Oh, wow. Okay.
When he ran for the very first time, and I felt completely fooled by him. So I'm not voting for him ever again, and I think he's extremely dangerous for this country.
Was there a particular thing that made you flip off from Donald Trump? Did he do or say something?
Quite frankly, it's just his attitude towards everything. He is really running for himself. He's not running for the American people.
Absolutely. Is there anything he could do or say to win you over at this point?
No, I don't think so.
Absolutely. Why do you think he still resonates with so many Americans?
Sadly, I think we have a lot of people in this country that align with some of his unfortunate beliefs and perceptions of the world, particularly racism and immigration, which is very sad. And I think the Kamala Harris campaign tries very hard to unify people, and that's not what they're about.
Absolutely. You're a white man. It's kind of Trump's core constituency. What would your message be to fellow white men to try to convince them to vote for Harris?
I would say just do the right thing. I think there's a lot of issues that Kamala stands for that directly impact men and women, and the women in these men's lives. So I think one thing that she said tonight was vote to support the women in your life when she was speaking to the men in the audience. So I think that's very important to think about.
We're out here today in D.C. where Kamala Harris is giving one of her final speeches in this election cycle. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you decided to come out?
I decided to vote for Kamala, or to come out to really hear more about what she had to say and understand her values a little bit more. It's been a little rocky this entire presidential election season, if you will. So I wanted to get more of an understanding, but it seems like Palestine needs to be freed, and I hope that she hears them.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned Palestine specifically. What do you make of so many anti-Kamala Harris, anti-Israel protesters behind you?
I think it's interesting to see it. I mean, everyone has the right to their own freedom of speech and everything like that, so I'm here for them. As long as they're not hurting anybody, I'm cool with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some of them are alleging genocide in Gaza and are calling Kamala Harris a war criminal. Do you agree with any of that stuff?
I mean, I don't know the facts, so I don't want to sit here and call her a war criminal, but if she does have something to do with it, that's a shame on her. Like, lives are very precious regardless of where you live, so we should protect it all.
Absolutely. She's come a long way from when she ran in 2020 as very progressive. She was for mandatory gun buybacks. She was against fracking. She was for Medicaid for all. Now she's against all of these things. Does that make you any more reluctant to support her, given that she's flopped on all these issues?
I don't think that she's against Medicaid, Medicare. I'm someone who works in the healthcare industry, and I know there's been a lot of changes since she's even started this campaign trail. So I'm intrigued to see what she does for him. I don't think she's going to cut everything off, because come on now, healthcare is one of the biggest issues that we have in the United States. So cutting that off doesn't really make much sense. So I hope she hears us out.
Absolutely. You're obviously a black man. Trump's been vying hard in his outreach to black men, and it's having some success. What do you make of Trump's outreach and having some success in reaching out to the black community?
I mean, he's desperate, so desperate times call for desperate measures. Of course, you're going to lean on the black community when you need us the most, when she's been here the entire time. So I'm going to stick to what I know.
What would your message be to a young black man who's considering staying home or supporting Donald Trump?
Staying home to a young black man is you deciding to not take your own life or your people around you's life seriously, regardless of whose side you vote on. Have an opinion and make sure that you have the facts.
Absolutely. One last thing. What would your message be to some of the protesters behind you who said, I can't support Kamala Harris given her stance on Israel?
I mean, I respect the decision. I just don't think that they should hinder anybody else's experience, but that's just me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sir, thank you so much for your time. Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
No, I appreciate it. Everyone go out and vote.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Behind us are some protesters who are upset with Kamala Harris's pro-Israel stance.
Yes.
What do you think of this contingency of the Democrat Party not falling in line with her stance here?
Well, I'm here to support Kamala Harris, and that's my only focus right now. I respect everyone's right to free speech, but tonight it's all about Kamala Harris, and that's where I want to focus my attention.
Some of these people are accusing Joe Biden of perpetrating a genocide and accusing even Kamala Harris of being a war criminal.
Yes.
Do you agree with any of this stuff?
Well, again, I'm just here to support my candidate of choice, and that's where I choose to focus my energy. So, everyone has a right to voice their opinions and their concerns, and I respect that. But tonight it's all about Kamala Harris.
Are you worried this could potentially sink her in somewhere like Michigan, where there's this sort of undecided vote based on this issue being so divisive?
No, I'm not. I don't really believe that this issue is going to be the determining factor in some of the states. I think for the most part, people know who they want to vote for, and for the, that population or the demographic of people who are still undecided, I don't think this issue will be the determining factor.
Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode. Let me know what you thought of the video down in the comments. If this is your first time here, guys, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, stay barely informed.